Today we have a special episode, a special guest as well. We're going to be talking about aliens, all things alien related, and the Terrence Howard interview. But we have K the Raw here, also known as Shannon Metoyer, my brother.
Hey, hello everybody. This is K the Raw. That's what I go by online. Let's get it.
Yep, so we're going to be talking about the Terrence Howard situation, aliens. This is a topic that we talk about probably in depth, like once a year. But growing up, aliens was like the number one topic we'd always talk about. We had a podcast probably 10 years ago that we were talking about aliens and we let that die. But now we're in full swing, full podcast mode swing. So now we're bringing it back, and this is the special episode, Aliens.
Marathon, yeah, say that to me, yeah, say that to me, oh, marathon, you can say that to me, yeah, say that, you can say that to me, marathon, yeah, say that.
Facts. Right. So I wanted to open it up talking about the Terrence Howard interview because he wasn't talking about aliens, but he was talking about high level, like, was it quantum mechanics, other things like that. He was talking about high level stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So how do you think that technology directly relates to aliens and directly relates to what technologies aliens may be using, or just kind of fascinating in that way?
Right. So the first thing that comes to mind to make it applicable to aliens, the first thing that comes to mind is travel. Mm-hmm. And so, for example, like one of the biggest questions, which I believe is called the Fermi paradox, is that if aliens are actually here in the universe, either they don't exist or they're too far away for them to actually like reach the Earth because the distances are too great. Now, when we're talking about what Terrence Howard was talking about, it's basically one, free energy. Two, when we're talking about how quantum mechanics actually functions, there's been recent discoveries, like they're actually able to confirm something called quantum entanglement, meaning that particles can exist in multiple places simultaneously and in two different states at the same time.
But do you believe that aliens are here, or did they not exist, or are they too far away? Do you have an opinion about that?
Now, if it weren't for my own personal experiences, I would say that they're definitely just real mathematically. Like, if you look at the statistics, it's like a mathematical certainty. Like, the universe is too big for us to only be the only intelligent life out there. Now, I've had some personal experiences where I'm more leaning towards it's possible that they actually could be here. Now, there's all type of crazy theories. Like, some people believe that they're like underwater. Some people believe that there's because of the experiments that were done on the moon is actually hollow, that they could be there. It could be time travel. It could be all type of different things. So
and when it comes to like personal experiences, because I've definitely had my own personal experiences, I think that that's always a fascinating topic whenever we're talking about aliens, is because every once in a while you're going to come into contact with somebody who has had an alien experience, and I think that's it's always skeptical. Like, is there credibility in play? Things like that. And I think I made a short film about like me potentially seeing an alien when I was a kid, and that was the reason why I made the short film Eclipse on that. I'm actually making a part 2 to that, but I definitely feel like I saw one, like very clearly, very plainly. But then, of course, that opens up, if we wanted to go to like the theological argument about the Christian, pursuit of aliens, and is it just all demons? Is it actually an alien? Did God make other life forms outside of us? Things like that.
Right, and that's an interesting way to put it too, because that's one of the big speculations. Even Tucker Carlson has talked about that, where he believes that what we call aliens are actually just angels and demons, because the Bible basically has been telling us about all type of crazy stuff. So like in the vision of Ezekiel, we had like crazy images of not aliens, but like of angels. So for example, like you have it like an entity with like it's made of just wings with like hundreds of eyes all over it. And then there's also like the creatures that have like the face of a man, the face of an eagle, the face of a bear, the face of a lion, and it has 4 wings, 2 wings that come out in the front of its shoulders, 2 wings that come out in the back, and it doesn't walk. It flies, and it doesn't even fly like directly to things. It flies in completely perpendicular lines. which is an interesting thing just to even conceptualize about.
Yeah.
But the
You should make
idea,
that into a movie.
yeah, honestly, like I don't know how nobody's done that already, because like that's total nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the idea that there are other entities that exist in this plane of existence with us has already been a concept that has existed for thousands of years.
Yeah.
It like across cultures, across religions, like they all keep saying the same thing. Could those be aliens? Possibly, but like maybe it's both. I don't know. Maybe they're angels, demons, and aliens. Who knows?
And that's the crazy part, is because like these types of talks, when it comes Bigfoot, aliens, Loch Ness monster, things like that, these are all very interesting topics that like I feel like will never really die unless we like run them into the ground.
Right.
So I know like when Joe Rogan was doing his interviews, he would always really talk about aliens a lot, to a certain degree because it was fascinating, and also it drew a decent audience. Do you think that the fact that aliens are more on the fantasy side than the scientifical side is why the average person is attracted to talking about aliens? Or do you think there's no correlation or anything?
I think that it's definitely the mystery of the unknown that's a big factor. Because, you know, things that like stimulate your imagination where you have to fill in the blanks is like what actually is like what makes good horror movies and sci-fi movies in the first place. It's not necessarily even seeing the creature. The good example is like with Jaws. What made the first Jaws movie really impactful was the fact that most of the movie you couldn't see it, and it was the implied danger of it being around. And
Yeah,
so I think it's the same thing.
Same with Jurassic Park. That's why most of the dinosaur shots are at night, also to help with CGI, but also to fuel the nightmare fuel when it comes to like the unknown aspect of it. So
Yeah, so I do think that the idea of aliens being more on the fantasy side, it makes it easier to dismiss it, especially if you're a scientist, because let's put it this way. There have been scientists who have said on camera, even if a UFO, a flying saucer that was a legitimate alien, came and landed into my front yard, he walked out of this flying saucer and then shook my hand and told me what planet he was from, I would still say that he's not real.
that's actually really funny that he said that, because you know what that reminds me of? There's a verse in the Bible to talk about theology where this guy was, I think he was going to hell, and he was talking to, I think he was talking to God or an angel, and he was like, oh my gosh, can you go tell my brothers and my cousins and my uncles that you're real, so I don't want them to face the same fate as me, as going to hell. This is agony. And the angel was like, or I think it was God, was like, well, if they're not going to listen to Moses, Abraham, and all the other prophets, they wouldn't believe even a man coming in, rising from the dead. So I was like, oh, like, I think it's built into our belief system that if we just don't believe something, no matter what happens, we just won't believe it. Like, I also put a post on Facebook that I think belief is the absolute most powerful tool that we have. It's the foundation of willpower and the foundation of our creation element when it becomes to like just what it means to be human, what it means to like make things, what it means to get up and have motivation to do things. I think it's all about belief. Like if you don't believe that you can make something, you never will, right? So I think that plays a big factor in how people take serious the alien talk.
Right. And then there's also the idea of cognitive dissonance, right? Where like even if you have all the evidence in front of you in the world, it's not enough to shake you from your belief because of the homeostasis principle in our subconscious mind for normity and conformity and things to be predictable, so that your brain has an easier time of processing the world in front of you. And so like that's why it's like, you know, some people basically are just like, well, ghosts aren't real because I don't believe in them. And it's like, maybe that's true for you. Maybe that's true for you, but it could be more accurately that your brain will turn off your perception or ability to be able to see an alien or a ghost or some kind of spirit or something like that, because your belief system doesn't allow you to be able to actually process the information.
And I think that that's fair. Let's go a little deeper on belief, because I think I might have just recently came up with my own like different hypothesis when it comes to belief, in line with all theology. I was watching a sermon. It's always theologically at this point. Like I was watching a sermon and the preacher was saying, do you think the lottery is real? And he had everybody raise their hands, and people were like, and it was Eric Thomas. He was like, do you think the lottery is real? And people were like, yeah, I think it's real. He's like, well, do you understand that the lottery is not real, but it's only became real because so many millions of people have bought into it and made it real? If no one believed that they would win, the lottery wouldn't exist. There would be no jackpot because nobody paid into it, right? So I was like, oh, that's a wonderful example of what belief does. Like, the reason why miracles can't happen unless you believe in Jesus and believe in, the possibility of a miracle is because it wouldn't become real. Like you wouldn't see it if you saw it. And I think that might be like a conceptual way, but I think in an actual tangible way, I don't know if a tree falls in the forest. Like, if you don't hear it, if you don't believe it exists, and nobody believes it exists, does it actually exist? I think it may not.
Right. And like, there's actually two things about that. The first one, I'll make them short because I don't want to get too far off the topic. But the first one, in the Bible, Jesus would typically ask them, "Do you believe that I can do this?" And then they say, "Yes, I believe that you can do this." And then he says, "Okay, stand up and walk," when their legs weren't working, or something like that would happen. And then he says, "Go thy way, thy faith have made thee whole." Right? And then on the second thing that you just talked about, there's actually a lot of theories that, like, since the universe is holographic, it's called the holographic principle, that if the tree falls in the forest, like, there is no tree in the forest unless there's a conscious mind to observe it, because the way that the universe seems to be working is that it's rendering things from conscious minds into existence, almost like it's trying to save on memory. Like, that's how video games work, is that like only the things that are in front of you that you can see are what's being rendered on the screen, and it saves memory because it doesn't have to render all of the actual world that you're existing in. Okay. So I think that that's actually possible.
How does that factor in, or if it doesn't factor in at all, let me know. How does that factor in to when they say that observable science, once the observer observes something, it changes it? That part.
Yeah, that's the double slit experiment,
okay.
Right? Because they're trying to figure out what happens when you shoot individualized photons, which are light particles, through slits, and then when a person is watching the experiment, then the light particles create a pattern based off of just the two slits. Like, it created two lines of where the photons came and then were captured onto a piece of paper behind it. But when they did the experiment and there were no humans that watched the interaction, then it created a wave pattern. It actually showed that particles are only solid when a conscious mind is observing them. But then if we're not observing them, it's a probability cloud, meaning that it's called in superposition, meaning that it's every possible position that it can be in at the same time until we look at it.
And you know what that reminds me of? Mm-hmm. I'm reading Jurassic Park right now, and that's literally the essence of chaos theory, right? That everything that can happen will happen, has happened, is going to happen type situation. So if it's about viewing reality, like, we only have, like, if we are in the present looking at our life in the present, the only thing that can happen is what has happened, right? Because it's not like your present isn't going to change,
right?
Because that's the past is like more stagnant. So when you're talking about the rest of it, like, if you're looking at the future, there is an unlimited amount of possibility for the future, which is, in theory, I'm assuming, a part of chaos theory, that anything can happen at any moment. Of course, there's a certain degree of uncertainty. That's the variable that he uses. But when it comes to the observable science and how you're looking at light itself or the photons in the experiment, I think it does change when you're not looking at it, because it can do anything at all times, whenever, with a certain degree of uncertainty, and then as soon as you look at it, we've just entered the degree of certainty.
Yeah, like,
because we see it, and now it's being registered and is logged, and we are consciousness creating, like,
yeah, it leads to the conclusion or the possibility that we're actually co-creating this existence together. Like that, the universe itself is almost just like a tool or a mechanism that interacts with us. So, like, this is one of the ways that they're saying, like, this is why faith works. This is why, like you said, belief works. How it seems like people have really good luck or really bad luck. Like, I've known people where they literally speak into existence, like that their life is just so terrible and that they have terrible lives. And then it seems that, like, they're a magnet for negativity and destruction. Meanwhile, like, there are people on the other side where it seems like they can't lose. And it's because of their belief system. So, like, literally just your conscious experience, which they've done with the water experiment, Professor Miyazaki in Japan.
Well, I'll stop you there because I wanted to go back to the first thing before we change the point about how people have spoke their life into existence.
Right.
Like, that's something that I actively did. I remember the day I was 27 when I was like, I am no longer going to have a bad day. I realized something at that age. I was like, man, these things keep happening because I'm saying and I'm anticipating and I'm looking for them. So if I'm only looking for good things, if I only want good things to happen to me, only good things will happen. And for like 3 years straight, nothing but good things happened to me, and then I fell off.
Right.
Right.
And I have a way to segue that directly back into aliens.
Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, this episode is brought to you by NutriShop Parker. It is your one-stop shop for high-quality supplements, protein powders, and wellness products that actually deliver. Whether you're building muscle, burning fat, or just trying to feel better every day, NutriShop's expert team can help you find what works best for you. If you're local to Colorado, stop by their Parker location for a personalized experience. And if you are tuning in anywhere in the USA, use code BRANDON at checkout for free shipping on your order. Fuel your goals the right way, the NutriShop way. All right, let's go.
So you've heard of Stephen Greer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he is the founder and the president of the Center for the Search for Extraterrestrial Life, right? And he wrote a book called Hidden Truth, Forbidden Knowledge, right? In that book were instructions for what he called the CE5 initiative, CE meaning Close Encounters Initiative. You know, the first one is like you get a signal. The second one is like you see something. The third one is they come here, or
Close
like you
Encounters
make
of the
some.
fourth kind.
Yeah, the fourth kind is when they're actually interacting with you on a physical hand-to-hand basis. And then the fifth kind, which he put into that book, was you actually call them to you, a direct line of communication, call them to you.
Nigga, you did that.
I did do that.
Right.
So
okay, disclaimer. Like, this is not like woo stuff.
This is not woo-woo,
This is
bro.
stories that
It's
we've like talked about for like over 10, 15 years. Like, take it at face value, because all we know is what we know. All he knows is what he knows, and he can only talk about his experience in the way that his experience happened.
Yeah, and I wouldn't just make this up because one, it scared me, so I never did again. You know, and two, it's like, okay, this was back in 2013. I just graduated college. I was back in my parents' house. I was playing Marvel vs. Capcom. It was the middle of the day, and you know, bright sunny day, no clouds in the sky and things like that. I'm playing, and then I just get, well, first the lead up is 2 days earlier than that, I was reading that book, Hidden Truth, Forbidden Knowledge, and in the CE5 initiative is you get into a meditative state. And then what you imagine is you zoom out from your body, out of your house, out of the city, out of the earth, out of the solar system, out of the galaxy, and then you say, hello, is anybody there? Like in your mind and heart, like, is anybody there? I would like to meet you. And then you go right back through the galaxy, back to your body.
Fuck no.
Right? And well, so 2 days went by and nothing happened, but I was like, I'm willing to try this because according to the book, like he takes people up to do this all the time. They constantly have all type of footage of them generating UFOs and all type of stuff by doing this. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to see if this is legit, right? And so 2 days later, I'm just playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and I just get this feeling in the back of my head that's like, go to the window, right?
Nigga.
So I drop the controller, and then I go out the window, I open up the window, and I'm just like, all right, well, I'm at the window. And then what wind up happening is it's almost like my vision, like the rods of my eyes started, like I was looking in a plain blue sky. The rods of my eyes started like looking like they were like reaching for more light. Like sometimes you can get that when you're staring at a blue sky for a long time. But it started doing it like extra. And then it's almost like I could see like further behind the lenses of my eyes, like they were hyper focusing. And then 3 maybe about this big rainbow colored translucent orbs just appeared in a triangle, rotating about maybe 10 to 12 feet outside of the window, like above the house, right? And then I'm just like, I'm tripping. Like there's no way that this is real. But then they started changing.
It was the middle of the day.
This is the middle of the day.
Okay.
No clouds in the skies, nothing. It was only like 12 feet above the house, or like 12 feet above the window, which was above the house. And so they started going into like this triangle pattern. And then that's when I just started like, I was like, like I just started laughing. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, is this real? And then one of them peeled off from the other two that just kind of kept going in a circle. And then it shined like a bright light from it. And then in like louder than like as loud as my voice is, but inside my head, I heard a radio frequency. It was like, and I was just like, oh, I'm like, yeah, what's up? I called you here. What's up? Like that's, and then it's going on for about like 10, 15 seconds. And I'm like, what am I doing? I have a phone. I have a camera. So I start like scrambling. I start scrambling for my phone. And I'm just like, I gotta get this. I gotta get this. And then like, so by the time the camera went out, they're just like, oh, well, he's gonna try to record us. That's what it seemed like. And then so they just flew over the top of the house where I couldn't see them anymore. And then that was the last time. That was the first and last time I ever did that. But the point was intention. I connected with the universe. I put out the intention to the universe. I put in a belief. I'm going to see if this is real. And then they showed up. And like, so I think that like, and I've heard from a lot of people when it comes to these contacts and things like that, that you actually do have to be in a mental state to be able to accept their existence in the first place. So apparently I was right there because they showed up. And then like after that happened, I'm like, I can't do that anymore. I don't know if they were good or not. And like, what if the next time I try that, it's not the nice little orb things that showed up. It was something else, right? Like there's too many unknown variables. So I never did it again. But like, word to God, like strike me down this second if I'm even exaggerating, bro. Like that's exactly what happened. That's why I never did again, because it was frightening. Like it made me feel full of joy that it happened.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, when I thought about it, I'm like, oh my God, you can never do that again.
Yeah.
Okay,
so if you had to like articulate this to a graphic artist or a graphic designer, do you think they could do it?
Yeah, because there were like bubbles. Like it's literally like you know how bubbles are like rainbow and reflective and stuff like that, but like they were literally like a foot across each. And then and they didn't just like show up. They materialized into my vision. Like there was nothing. I was looking at the blue sky, and then they just like emerged kind of thing. Like almost like you know how the transparent knob works like in video editing?
Yeah.
How you can make something transparent. It's like it was at 0 and then it just turned up. Like they were it's almost like they were already there, but then they just made themselves known kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was weird.
Because you know where my mind goes is just like, let's make it a movie. Let's show that in movie form, right? That's just kind of how my mind goes.
Patent pending.
Yeah, I was like, well, I mean, they can't describe it how you describe it, and it would be fake if somebody else did it. Like,
yeah.
I don't believe in anybody's art being able to be stolen because it's inauthentic.
Right.
That's my belief system.
Yeah, no, because like it's been burned into my mind, because like the part that let me know that was legitimate was it flashed the light, and then once again it was like somebody it's like a radio antenna that was trying to get into a station was turned on in my head, but like it was like like it was literally like this distortion pattern, right? But it was like louder than any thought. It was basically as loud as this conversation, but imagine it this loud, but it's coming out of your own thoughts, kind of thing.
We gotta make the movie. We gotta make the movie, because I feel like that's something that nobody's ever seen before. And then I love how you described it as the transparency coming up, because that just in terms of effects would be very simple. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, like as long as yeah, and there's lots of other directions we can go with that. But that's how I shoehorned that previous conversation into this. Mm-hmm. So that was my most prevalent one. Of course, I've seen like things that possibly could be UFOs and stuff like that, but nothing even comes close to that. You know what I mean? Like. Well, it's almost not even relevant to mention anything else. Like legitimately, like. I
mean, I had some great like alien dreams, but the one time I saw it in real life, well, 2 times, but the last time I saw alien in real life, I was at the parents' house. First of all, our parents' house is not just haunted, covered in demons.
Look, I actually have tons of stories about that. Actually,
I bet there's a werewolf somewhere in there. Like, ghosts for sure. I don't know what it was about that house, but anything you wanted to see, you saw it. Like, the house was old and creaky as well. so the floorboards weren't tightened all the way. So, but it only would really creak if there was bad weather, like like the house is moving, or somebody was walking up there. And every once in a while, no one's home or everybody's downstairs, and you just hear like somebody's running, like literally down the hall, and I'm like.
Yeah, like almost like somebody was walking down the stairs and all type of stuff like that. Yeah.
Like there's been multiple examples of, because my dad's like go mode, right? So back in the day, like we would, I remember distinct multiple times where there'd be a cracking sound on the stairs, and he goes like, and like gets up to like do something about it, and I'm like, oh, like it does sound like somebody's running down the stairs, like crazy.
Oh yeah, all type of stuff. Like, I mean, like a lot of people kind of like, you know, throw in the argument. It's like, well, you know, if you're talking about haunting, then like every part of the earth has had people die on it. But it's like, it's not just that. It's like I think that even Joe Rogan has talked about this, about like some places just retain the energy and memory of all the experiences.
There's like a Japanese forest. There's a Japanese forest. I think it's called the Death Forest or something close to that. That they said that if you go in there, like you risk losing your mind or like dying, because there's so much death encased there that people go crazy just walking into the forest or like preserve or whatever it is.
Would you be down to try?
I would not be down to try it. I would not be down, only because like
there's too much belief into it, bro. Like,
I mean, I was watching Andrew Tate, and he said something that I resonated with my whole chest. He said, "Why would I go skydiving? My life is already extreme enough." He was like, you need to go work harder and put more extremity in your day-to-day life, so you're not tempted to waste your time and waste all this energy on doing like roller coasters and jumping out of airplanes. I was like, facts, because I bust my ass, but I'm not here to do some just for the sake of it thrill.
Okay, yeah, because I've definitely skydived, so like,
I had to turn up. I wanted to, but I had to like turn up the work. I was like, I don't have time, I don't have energy. I feel like I'm here for a reason. I want to do stuff. Like, I don't even want to invite that. So
yeah, that's fair. Me. Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Yeah, like I think that.
But I also believe it. Yeah, that's also what you were saying. I believe it wholeheartedly. I think I would be changed coming out, so I can't go in.
Yeah, like and it's the same thing with aliens. That like to kind of get back on that, because I think that like there's probably a lot of people that might have even been in proximity to something, or like maybe they did see something or experience something, but like their lack of belief in it shielded them from actually internalizing the experience. Like their short-term memory probably just blanked out. Like there are people that go into regressive therapy that have gone through things that they had no idea that they went through. You know what I mean? Like through hypnosis and all type of stuff, because your mind will literally try to protect you. Well, like it's not even like really protecting you. It's protecting the status quo that you've established in your mind and how you see reality.
Yeah.
Right. And so like if anything challenges that, chances are it's not even it's not even going to register with you, or you might not even like, that's where the term double take comes from. It's because the first time you looked at it, you didn't even know what you were saying. And then you're like, wait a minute. You're like, wait, what is this? And then it comes into form.
You know what's funny what I mean? Is that I feel like most movies are kind of set on people not believing. They're like, I don't believe it. I don't believe this, right? And that's what people think, I think, has been agreed upon as the most terrifying. But I think what's even more terrifying is when you know it's real and you're trying to not make it real, but the thing itself knows that you know for sure that it's real. And I was thinking it, but he also is at their mercy, right? Like I think it was about the fear. Like he knows you're afraid, this, but I think when we're talking about like an extraterrestrial coming in and being more like a terror horror type of situation, I think if there's a way body language or language can articulate that I know that you know I'm real, not just because you're seeing me. Therefore, you can't wish me away, but you also have to explain that you could have wished it away if you really didn't believe it. I don't know how you like tell that type of like juxtaposition in the story, but I think that would be a cool thing that I don't see a lot in movies.
Yeah, I agree with that, because like it's like, once again, cognitive dissonance. Like I think that it's scary. It's scary because like if you can look something in the face and then you're just telling yourself it's not real, but it's like, nah, I'm here. Like I'm absolutely here. And I think that you can take that in a lot of different directions.
So the first time I saw my own alien right? I was at my parents' house. Everything in me was like, don't rechange your room around. And I think it was probably like once every 6 months I'd like maybe put my bed against a different wall, blah, 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 blah. But one thing as a rule of thumb, I never did was I'd never put my bed against the window. Mm-hmm. That was just something like I was terrified of. I felt like the window would open, alien would snatch me out, or whatever it was.
I mean, just a person could.
Yeah. Like, well, I was on the second floor, but still.
Yeah, right.
The facts. So
Spider-Man.
What happened is this day I was like, I had to have been like 14 or something. I was like, I'm a big nigga now. Like, aliens can't do nothing. So I literally was like, and I shoved my bed against the window.
Trying to fight your fears.
Yeah. And then I laid, and the one thing I definitely wouldn't do is like, if this is the window, like I laid down with my head like next to the window, and I was like, right. So I was like playing video games or whatever, and then it got like super late. Like it was probably actually not super late. It was probably like 9 or 10, and I remember like feeling like really kind of like, how to explain it, like groggy, but like not quite like. Okay, it was like on the edge of dizzy, groggy, and then just being very tired all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. So I'm laying down, and I'm like, and I kind of like I spin over, look up, because you could see over out my window, you could see the top of the roof of the house, because I was on the second floor.
This is our parents' house?
Parents' house.
Yeah, like not the first one, but the second one?
Second house, yeah. And you could see the roof, like, because I could actually walk outside.
Yeah, you can walk on the roof.
I could walk on the roof, but I could see the top of the roof, like, and I can describe it completely. I can't even draw it. An alien was like just looking over, like down at me, and I remember distinctly that everything in the sky was red. It was definitely like a red opaque filter over everything outside, and I know it wasn't like that. So the alien's head was like, picture like this was like the mouth, and it had this, and then this. It was like a
like
T head.
super wide eyes kind of thing.
Yeah, it was like a T head, very slender. This, and it even had like the mouth lines, the eye lines, but it's a very flat, like almost like a hammerhead.
Oh, that's creepy.
It was for sure. And then I know if I'm lying, God strike me down. This is why I know it wasn't just like an image, because I was looking at it, and I did what you did. I was like, this is not real. And
this can't be.
I turned away, I looked back. It was still there, and you know what it did? It went. It literally like opened its eyes and was like, and I was like, oh shit. And I was like, oh. And I was like, oh no, this is for real. And we were just staring. Like it was like longer than what people typically describe their experiences being.
Yeah, it's always like something just pokes out. But like no, when it just sticks around and you're just like,
I promise you, it was at least a minute, 2 minutes long, probably like 2 minutes long, of me just staring and it just blinking and staring at me. Then eventually I was like, okay, well, if this is real, I gotta go get something. So I was looking around, and I leaned over, grabbed something, came back. The sky was back to being black. The moon was white over there. There was no more red. It was just gone.
Yeah, no, that's
100%.
Yeah, that was way scarier than mine. Like mine was actually kind of like a positive thing. Like yours was just like you're about to get get abducted.
The thing is like I remember distinctly not having any type of fear in my body. Mm-hmm. Even when it like blinked, I was like, oh, it was just startling. It was not scary at all. Like it was like almost like Jasper in Twilight, how he has mood control over you. It was like that's the only way I can explain it, because aliens are the most terrifying things for me ever. And it's been like that forever. But the fact that I was looking at an alien and I just felt like zero calm.
Like, I was like no emotions.
I know it was doing some mood control stuff. Had to.
I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, like, have you heard of the telepathy tapes?
No.
I'm about to actually start looking into them, but there's a lady from that went on Joe Rogan who was talking about the research that she does with nonverbal autistic children. And so apparently what they found out is that there's a high percentage of them that are literally 100% psychic, right? And so like they would test them with random numbers, colors, images, like the whole remote viewing thing. they can literally talk to you in your mind, kind of thing.
What?
Like, yeah, like, so the theory is that humans probably were already doing this, like, back before we developed, like, a full language. That, like, humans probably have the capacity just in general to be able to be telepathic and all this type of stuff in general, because even with animals, you know, they have a lot of that. Like, it seems like dogs have, like, super good telepathic communication between other dogs, especially with wolves, the way that they hunt and all that type of stuff. So, if there is another super advanced species that possibly just went down a different fork in their evolution or their technological advancements, there could be alien civilizations where they never ever said a word out loud, and everything is through the cultivation of their nonverbal communication and their mental faculties and things like that.
And I think that the basis of that would have to be that it's not bound on distance. Distance makes no difference. Otherwise,
that's what the CE5
language
concept was, is that, like, because the universe is all one thing, it's all connected, it's one gigantic electromagnetic field, and so if you put out the right signal, then you're already communicating with everybody at the same time. There's also something called the morphogenic field.
You're the one to tell me about that.
Yeah, the one about with Earth, about how a group of people who learn a skill actually make it to where the general population in general learns the skill unconsciously.
And there's so many examples of that being a real-time thing. A quick segue is that the
4-minute mile.
The 4-minute mile.
Yeah.
Is the number one example of that. So.
Yeah. There's the 4-minute mile, and then there's also there's the triangle test,
What's that?
Or the face test, where it's like, okay, how many triangles do you see in this picture, right? So what they did was that, like, the first control group, I think it was actually the face test for this one. The first control group, let's just say, before anybody started doing this testing, the first control group was able to find 11 faces in the picture. When they did a different control group in a separate country, thousands of miles away, the next control group was able to find 15 faces. And then they did another experiment in another country, thousands of miles away, and, like, they're not publishing the true number of faces, but the number kept increasing with each subsequent test in different places. And they've done that with different types of puzzles and all types of stuff. Even monkeys can do that. Yeah, like, so, there's something. Oh, yeah, also, on average, whenever a new idea is generated in someone's mind, on average, there are 13 to 15 other people worldwide that get the exact same idea at the exact same time. But the differentiating factor is if you have the skill set, the ability to retain the information, to the skill set to be able to bring it to pass. And most people don't, and that's why it seems like only one person gets the idea.
On this specific theory that multiple people get ideas or images or visions at the same time, I know this for a fact. There was a story that my dad would tell, and we've been hearing this. I've been hearing this since
I remember
You
this
know
story.
exactly
Yeah,
what I'm
go
talking
ahead.
about.
Yeah.
A story that he would tell, and it traumatized him because he had a dream about a nuclear holocaust happen.
Oh, that one.
That
I thought you were talking about, like, the microwave technology hovercraft.
No, we don't know that one just yet. We're going to say that one.
Okay.
Right? So there was a nuclear holocaust happening, and he literally was like, there's a blimp. It has USS something on it.
It was USA because we were in a different country.
Yeah. And then he said that the blimp went overhead and it started spinning underneath and letting out radiation pellets, right? And then he said he could now virtually see, like, I guess not virtually, but he could, like, omnisciently see my mom and you.
Yeah.
And
we
you guys
couldn't find shelter.
You guys couldn't find shelter, so you guys backed up against a fence.
And then we're
right?
just getting pelted by, like, it melted by these nuclear pellets. Like.
And then every time it hit you, it would deform you, like, because there's so much radiation in the pellets. And then me and my dad in the dream, he would grab my arm, take me under the staircase of a house, and he was like, "Stay here, wait here. I'm gonna go find your mom and brother." Blah blah blah. So he runs out. Then he, like, looks back, and I'm coming out of the
to follow him.
like, coming out of the stairs, and he's like, "What are you doing? Like, I told you to stay here." And then I just didn't say anything. I was like, and he was like, it was basically like me saying, you know, if we're gonna die, we got to do this together, right? And then he runs off, blah blah blah. And that was the dream. I think there's a little bit more nuance to that. And then, like, 10, 15 years later, probably 10 years ago, like now, we were all sitting in the living room, and we turned on a B sci-fi movie. Just a B, like Sharknado's a C sci-fi movie. B would probably be like Lake Placid.
Right.
Like one of those types of sci-fi movies on the Sci-Fi Channel or on Tubi, one of those. Probably not Tubi, sorry, Sci-Fi Channel. FX. And then all of a sudden, he stands up and he's like, "Oh my God!" And we like look at him. We look at him, and then instantly, like I see it. I'm watching the TV, and I'm like, and it's literally word for word. It's word for word what he described. It was the blimp. It was the spinning. It was the pellets. It was the entire image of the. This time it was a blonde-haired woman and her son, and she grabbed the son, goes up against the fence as the pellets are coming down off of her, and he was freaking out. He was like, "That's my dream!" Like right, and I was like, he would have been so crazy if he didn't tell us that and we just started freaking out. But the fact that he's been telling that story multiple times in the same way for years, and then we see the movie, I'm like, yeah, multiple people get the same images at one time. I don't know what it is, but that was proven for sure.
Yeah, and that's crazy because the thing about that field that kind of brings all of this together is that like one, information is shared, like we're all a part of like this general connected unconscious subconscious like information sharing, and then also like the morphogenic field that they're supposing that it also helps to bring shape, like the reason why the sphere exists with cells and things like that, to like bring things into its proper shape. And that goes back into the alien thing because the whole thing that people keep saying whenever they have like these contacts with these extraterrestrials is that they're already tapped into the field. They're already a part of it, and the Earth is looked at like children because we're not a part of it and we're destructive. Because if we were in the collective unconscious or the collective consciousness of the rest of the universe, we wouldn't have as many issues with war and crime and things like that, because it's like we really are all one. And it's like, and they're tapped into it. They're like, we're all sharing thoughts and feelings and emotions 24/7. And if you guys could do this, you would be a lot nicer, right? Because you would understand that you're all just one thing. Like your conscious life is a singular thing with different expressions of itself,
And that makes me think about like, I agree and I disagree with that theory because I've heard that theory multiple times.
Yeah,
and when and bring it back to theology. Before I really got serious with my pursuit of finding God and understanding who Jesus is and things like that, I was in full agreement that I think that that's true, right? I think that that's pretty logical about, if you have one band, one sound, one mind, one voice, then you're going to have you're going to have the exact empathy as somebody else. You're going to have you're going to know where people are at. So there's so much more lack of measuring you have to do with your fellow man, so you wouldn't have to argue about anything. And I think that that's absolutely not possible without Jesus now, because as I'm understanding that it's about pure belief, it's about hopefully I'm articulating this right. Like, you have to be so walking with God and connected, and then he gives you access to godly wisdom and spiritual gifts and making you better, and then hopefully I'm articulating this right.
No, you are. There are actually people that believe that Jesus was an extraterrestrial. There's a whole sect of people
they're
that.
They're on some stuff. But him being the hub for everything is what the basis of Christianity, in terms of from a scientific point of view, would be. He's the hub of everything. And once you're pointed at him, choosing him first, walking with him, not engaging in any activities he would dislike, things like that, being in oneness is how you get to heaven, right? And then that's how you become you be a saint doing that, and then when you die, you go to heaven, things like that. But he's the hub to everything that you ever wanted in life. You could have money, you could have all these things, but then obviously we know that these things don't fulfill you through more than just anecdotal experience, these stories throughout the ages that you can't fill whatever void it is. But Jesus being enlightenment, right? The hub for everything, the truth incarnate, the word, then if you're pointed at that, studying under that, just putting your brain in oneness with that, I think that that's pretty much the same thing, because if everybody's pointed at Jesus, no one is being mean to each other. People are connected in understanding and love each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, and these things don't necessarily clash, because like if you look at like the idea behind it, like if Jesus is the son and avatar of the one living Alpha Omega creator God of all things, and he is the way, he is the light, then it's still the same concept, because like humans are choosing through sin, to be disjointed and disconnected from each other. My theory is that almost every single sin, I think probably all of them, come from an idea of selfishness, which is divisive.
Probably the root of all, right?
Yeah. Like I think, I think it's selfishness, because because you wouldn't be able to commit the sin. If you look at the 10 Commandments, and if you look at the 7 deadly sins and things like that, all of them stem from the idea that you are more important than the other people around you, or you're more important than God, or
exactly. The first one's about God, the rest of them are about everybody else.
Right, and but if you are uniting, like in Jesus or Yeshua and all that stuff, everything, and he's the life giver, he's the one that connects all things, which is almost the same as what we're trying to describe the electromagnetism of the field, which literally is 99.99% of the entire universe, which is like pure life and energy and growth and expansion. Which, those are the theories with plasma cosmology and things like that. Then it's almost the same thing. Like, it's the same concept, because if you're united together, I think that people are here to help their fellow man. And that's also what Jesus says, that you're supposed to be treating your neighbor as yourself and loving your neighbor, even love your enemies. That comes from a place of empathy. Mm-hmm. Right. And those things, if you were connected with your fellow brothers and sisters on a deep emotional, intellectual, even psychic level, then your empathy would be higher. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think that they're not necessarily clashing subjects. I think that there may be some truth. I just think that there just may be some truth to it, and it does still connect with what you're saying about Jesus in the Bible.
I would say the only clashing that would happen is that the reason why it's so important that we live in a broken world, in a world that isn't perfect, is because you would not need God at that moment.
Right.
Right. And that's what the bad things that happen to you are. It's your invitation to repoint towards God. Mm-hmm. And in amongst a plethora of other things, because everything's multifaceted whenever you're dealing with God. He never does one thing. It means 1,000 things. It's just, do you understand and do you see all the breadcrumbs? Mm-hmm. Right? So I think the reason why it clashes is because if it's not through Jesus, then we're dealing with something else that could give us oneness.
Right, yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
And that's the exact same thing that the Antichrist is supposed to be, the one who unites the world.
And people are saying it's Trump. Pick up your Bible. How could it be when there's half and half?
There are way too many people that hate Trump.
These niggas hate
him. There are
him.
way too many people that hate Elon.
Why do they hate him, though?
Neither one of those people are capable of uniting the world. The best they can do is try to stop the wars, which, that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm inclining to agree with you, and I'm also hesitant because the universe is the creation of God. It's not God, right? Yeah. So tapping into the infinite power of the universe may be a very useful tool, but it's still missing the forest for the trees, because there's still one that created it. And also, I
have a point.
The golden ratio, which is basically the fingerprint of God. Scientists are basically trying to say that that this is a simulation, because there's a specific type of computer code called Adinkra codes that make up the entire universe, and it's almost identical to the same type of code that's used in search engines. And it's you can't have that without intelligent design. And so I'm inclined to believe, with the evidence, that there's God. Right.
And that's perfectly well done. Perfectly said. And I think to tie that in to this other topic and Terrence Howard is, you said specifically the infinite universe. Mm-hmm. And what Terrence Howard was talking about is that the universe has to be finite, and quantum computers are not real. That they're fake, in terms of universal quantum mechanics, but in terms of linear quantum mechanics, like your stock portfolios and your money, that's correct. So what he was talking about is everything's based off of waves. Well, not waves, magnetism.
Yeah, magnetism.
Yeah, magnetism. Sorry, I'm tripping.
Yeah, but it is also waves. Everything is waves.
Everything's waves, everything's magnetism, because like he has the example of you drop a rock in a pond and it all ripples out, right? But then it hits the edges and then ripples back.
Yeah.
So he was saying that based off of, I forgot exactly what he was talking about, but he said based off of some things that they were researching and finding that, I remembered it. It was him and the NASA scientists were talking that the fact that we see light from far star systems show that light has bounced off and bounced back, which means that like not just from that item, they were saying that that also supports to some egghead degree that the universe is finite because things are bouncing back. So if it was infinite, you would just shoot something out and it would go on for forever, right? But he says that they were saying quantum mechanics might be flawed from its inception because it has certain principles that things happen at a molecular level that don't happen at our level in bigger levels. And one of the principles is oneness, meaning that like if something happens small, it has to happen big. It happens to happen medium. It has to happen semi-medium. Like everything's a chain, so there can't be something happening over here that's not happening there. And their example was that means that every once in a while the Earth will have to completely disappear and then reappear next to Saturn or next to Uranus or in a different solar system, like because that's what happens in quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
Quantum teleportation. And yeah, like, so that goes into one of the newer theories that we're not, like our universe, like, which I agree that our current universe is probably finite. And even like the new evidence, which I don't know why they didn't mention this, is that based off of the expansion from the Big Bang and the outer portions of the universe that we can observe, the only way that they could be in the positions that they're in is if our universe was being affected gravitationally by surrounding universes. So the thing about Terrence Howard, like I think that the universe actually, what we call the universe, our observable universe, is finite. But I don't know why they didn't mention this on the podcast, that one of the newer theories is that because of how our universe is expanding, the only way that its shape could exist in the way that it does is if our universe is being affected gravitationally by other surrounding universes. So sure, our universe was probably finite, but our universe is probably one particle out of infinite other particles that are known as universes.
And
you know
that
what
was
I mean?
something that is something that I really wanted to talk about more of. It reminded me that we always go ground level, earth level, sky level, universal. Like that's kind of our metrics when we're ever like shoot for the stars. Like universal level, anime character, right? Like planetary level character. And we stop at universe, right?
Universe Buster.
Doesn't that, if that theory is something worth discussing, doesn't that mean that we are, again, selling ourselves short, where I truly do believe that if you shoot for the stars, you will end in the sky. If you shoot for the sky, you're going to stay on the ground, things like that. But if you shoot for the universe, you're going to end in
a galaxy.
In a galaxy, maybe? But if you're shooting for outside, maybe this is dumb. Maybe I'm not articulating this right, or is this a dumb point? But if you shoot for past the universe, I guess, could you even conceptualize that? Can you even think about that?
I mean, I can because I think that things are fractals.
We're going to have to do a part 2 on this because we're getting past the time and we got to wrap it up. But any final thoughts?
Oh, yeah. Like, I was just, to answer your question, yes, I believe that I can conceptualize of it because I believe things are fractals. Like as things can go infinitely small, then you can get infinitely big. And just like you can see like an atom, and like the difference between the size of an atom and a particle is the same difference between a particle and the size of the Earth, right? And like, so that's how small it gets. So like, but so if you look at the entire universe as like a singular atom or a singular cell, then you can conceptualize of an entire system. Maybe our universe is literally like one photon, and that one photon is being shot out of a flashlight to something else. Yeah, you know what I mean. And final thoughts. Aliens are cool, but they're also scary. I've been through a whole lot of stories that we might have to get into, not just aliens, but like you said, haunting stuff, like with our parents' house and all types of stuff like that. But, you know, just for the sake of time, I appreciate everybody for, you know, listening to me and allowing me to come up here and talk with this magnificent gentleman right here. But yeah, go ahead.
And if you've gotten anything from this video, it is okay to think. It's okay to talk science and theology. And you can be wrong about all of it, because I'm sure some people know something I don't know. And that's the exciting part about life. Until next time.
Marathon. Yeah, say that to me. Yeah, say that.